Okay, confession. We overspent at Christmas by $4,000. We didn't even realize that we had done it until we checked our savings account and we were $4,000 short. Coming from people who feel like we're really financially responsible, we don't overspend, we stick to the plan, we're very intentional with what we spend. This Christmas season really took us for a spin and was really like a gut punch and a big wake-up call, because it didn't feel like we were being irresponsible. I didn't feel like we were overspending. I didn't feel like we were just being flippant with our money. I honestly was so shocked when I realized how much we had overspent. But when we reflect and look at how we planned for our Christmas season, it's pretty obvious why we overspent. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have a set spend plan for Christmas time. We weren't putting money aside for it. We didn't have a plan. So when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I know that's so cliche, but like this was literally that saying in action. So I'm going to break down what happened and what we're planning on doing next year so that the two of us, you and me, don't end up overspending for Christmas time next year, because Christmas is the season of joy. It's the season of giving. It's the season of love. It's the season of fun. It's the silly season. We're supposed to be having fun, right? So I don't want to come to next Christmas and feel like a tight ass and feel like I have no money to spend and I'm stressed about dipping into our savings again. And I want to feel prepared, and I want to feel like I have enough money to spend freely, but spend intentionally, so that I'm not just like closing the blinds and sticking my head in the sand and just blindly spending. I want to feel like it's intentional. Like, hey, we've planned for this. The same way you would plan for a holiday. You feel so much better about taking a holiday when you're not like, oh, we're spending money we shouldn't be spending. This is Coffee Money. Today I actually have a coffee. This is very exciting. Normally I have already had my coffee and then I record, so that I'm like a little bit more lively and not an actual corpse sitting in a chair in front of you. But today we didn't have time for that. So I've had about half my coffee and I think it is starting to hit me. Here at Coffee Money, I want you to feel like we are two friends sitting down for a chat over coffee at a cafe. Sometimes we clock into cafe work sessions, and sometimes we just have a chatty cafe session where we're like unpacking all of our goals and dreams, or figuring out like, why did we have no money this month, or like coming up with a plan as to how we're going to hit our savings goals or just hit our life goals in general. This is the podcast about money that you actually want to listen to. There's never any guilt or shame or any of those ugly feelings that are often tied to money. We're here to make it fun. We're here to make it accessible. And we're here to lift each other up and see each other win financially. So I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy we're having coffee together today. This is so exciting. Let's unpack what went wrong financially at the Christmas season and how we can avoid that happening next year. Christmas is one of those super sneaky seasons because you don't feel irresponsible while you're overspending. You don't even notice that you're overspending. Everything feels necessary. Everything feels important. You're also just exhausted from the rest of the year. Like, you're tired and you're ready for a break. And you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I really want a coffee and a smoothie today. I'm going to get both. I really want to just feel like I'm not restricted. Like, I can just enjoy this holiday season and have no limits. That's what you're exhausted by the end of the year, and you just want to have some fun. And speaking of fun, there's like a million social things. I don't even think Connor and I are that social. Like, we're social kind of beings, but we also have a lot of shit to do. So we don't often spend a lot of time socially out and about. But like October, November, December, we were booked, fully booked. There was so much on. Like, we had events over a weekend. We would have like an event Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Like, it was a full-on season. So not only are you spending money on gifts, not only is it Black Friday sales, and we had just moved house, so we tried to take advantage of those Black Friday sales, buying household stuff that we needed to. So you have gifts, Black Friday sales, socializing, and then just like the fact that you're on holidays. So you're going to cafes more. You're going to go out for dinner more. You're going to just be a little bit more loose. You know, you get a little bit loosey-goosey, a little bit silly, a little bit like, I don't want to have these shackles on me anymore. I just want to let down my hair and just pretend for a little bit like we don't have to think about money. It's also a really sneaky season because it's not actually that long. Yes, your Christmas social calendar picks up from like November, but you're not really counting that as like Christmas time. So you're thinking Christmas time is only December. So you only think it's a few weeks. And you're like, how much damage can I actually do in a few weeks? But let me tell you, you can do a lot of damage, like a lot. A lot. 4 weeks is a lot of time. I could do significant damage in one day. My friend Indy and I were talking about this the other day. If I had one day where I could just spend on everything that I wanted to spend, I reckon I could spend like up to 100K. No joke. You know the treat yourself day from The Office? If I had a treat yourself day, boy, we could go crazy. There are so many tech things, kitchen appliances, household goods, not to mention clothes, skincare, massages, facials. There is just so much. There is so much. I could easily spend 100K in a day. So then just like think about when you really let loose and switch off your brain and don't move with intentionality over 4 weeks of the Christmas season, you can do a lot of damage. But today is not about guilt. Today is not about scolding yourself or, you know, jumping back into deep restriction. Today is about reflecting and looking back at what happened, why we felt that need to throw off the shackles, as it were, why we felt that need to rebel and stop being good with money and just like blindly spend. Why did we even feel the need to do that? I think that speaks volumes into our money psychology, into our psychology at the time, and how we were feeling about money maybe, or how we were feeling about our financial position. I think it deserves a deep dive, because if we don't figure out the root of the problem and we just attack it with like, oh, well, next year we're not going to do that. Next year we're not going to be silly. We're not going to overspend. It's just not going to work, and we're going to just probably find ourselves in the same position again. So today is all about really understanding what was going on. Why did we do the overspending? And then putting in like gentle guardrails so that doesn't happen next year. And it's not about being restrictive next year. It's about being intentional. Okay. It's about setting aside money so that we can spend at Christmas time without feeling like we've overspent, or without dipping into our savings, or without feeling guilty. I think I personally used Christmas time as an excuse to buy all of the things that I had been putting off for the whole year. We did a lot of socializing and going out, a lot of eating out, a lot of catching up with friends. And then we had like the end of year sales. Now, I didn't do any Boxing Day sales shopping, but I did do Black Friday, because we had quite a few things for the house that we really desperately needed. So we needed a vacuum cleaner. We didn't have a vacuum cleaner. We'd been borrowing mum and dad's, and we really needed to give that back. So we needed a vacuum cleaner, and we had multiple heat waves, and we have the smallest, dodgiest aircon that looks like it's from the 70s, that literally is just a glorified fan that only cools down like a square feet of our entire house, one single square foot. So we desperately needed some fans, and fans, believe it or not, are actually quite expensive. So I tried to get them in the Black Friday sales. So we got a robo vacuum, we got a fan, I got some work clothes that I really needed, and I actually did need. I put it through my need want filter, and I actually did need them. Bought some things for the kitchen that we actually very much needed. So all of these things, it's just that we bought them all at once. So because there were sales, and because I was sort of already in the buying mentality, there was this big list of things that I was like, well, we need it anyway. We're going to buy it at some point. We may as well buy it now. So none of it was wild spending. None of it was super luxury, designer, nothing. None of that. But altogether, it was a lot of money for us, for where we are right now and for what we're trying to do. We still have some savings targets that we're trying to hit. And it's this last particular goal. We're trying to save for a car. And this last particular goal, like every time we get close, something knocks us back. And this was just one of those things. And I'm really starting to get a bit fed up with it. So $4,000, it's not nothing money for us. And for some people that might be. For some people that might be like, oh, that's a normal amount to spend on Christmas. But for us, that is not nothing. That it takes us a month or a month and a half to save $4,000. So seeing it all just go in such a short window of time and without intentionality, like without being like, we have prepared for this or we've planned for it or like we were expecting it, that's where the gut punch comes in, because you're like, yes, we needed all of those things, but it just feels a bit like, what the heck, because it wasn't with intentionality. And the craziest thing is that it didn't feel irresponsible. It didn't feel crazy. It didn't feel dramatic. It just felt like, oh, we need this item anyway. It's on sale, so we may as well get it while it's on sale. It's Christmas time. We'll deal with it later. We need it. We'll deal with it later. And now later has arrived and we're dealing with it. So the problem with Christmas spending, if you approach it the way we did this year, we approached it as if Christmas was a surprise. Christmas comes around every single year. We know that there is a group of people that we need to buy presents for. We know that social outings have a huge uptick. We know that this happens. It happens every single year. It's not a surprise. It's not an emergency. So why are we treating it as such? Why are we just being like, da 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 da? Oh, shit, it's Christmas time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have a whole year to prepare for this. So when we treat it like a sudden emergency or a big one-off expense, like that's where the stress comes from. It's not from Christmas itself. It's not from the spending itself. It's from the lack of preparation. Editor Melli here. There's something really important I forgot to say. We had been in such a sprint season all year. We had really big savings goals. We hit lots of big milestones. So we've been like go, go, go all year. We've been really good. We've been really intentional. We've been really planned, and like we have hit every goal, including all of our financial goals. So it had all worked out really nicely. I think come November, December, we were just probably feeling really tired and exhausted and like we just needed a real mental break. And because we hadn't planned, because we hadn't set up the system or the structure to facilitate easy, intentional spending, our brains were just like fried, and we didn't have the capacity to fight with ourselves, to fight with our feelings, or to overthink any purchase, or to really, like, the decision fatigue was real. Like, we were at our limit. If we had already had systems in place that would have carried us through, like, no matter how tired we were, it would have just allowed us to spend intentionally, not restrictively, intentionally with ease, and not like overspend or not go into that next level where we were just like spending. I think one of the biggest lessons here is how important it is to have a system in place to carry you through when you are feeling tired and exhausted and you're like really feeling the effects of decision fatigue. It is so important to have those systems in place, especially when it comes to your money, because our emotions and our decision fatigue have such an impact on how we spend our money. And if we had had a system in place, we would have been able to still spend, but just spend with intentionality. The decision would have been made at the beginning of the year. That decide once rule coming in again. We have decided once at the beginning of the year, this is how much money we have to play with at Christmas time, and we wouldn't have had to negotiate with ourselves. We wouldn't have had to fight with ourselves. We wouldn't have lost the battle, like, so to speak, because emotionally we were so tired, so we didn't have it in us to fight with ourselves. So if there was the system in place, we wouldn't have had to fight with ourselves, and we wouldn't feel like we had overspent over the Christmas period. So what are we doing differently for 2026? We are going back to what we used to do, which is set up a Christmas sinking fund. This is like the simplest thing that you can do to ensure that Christmas next year is guilt-free, smooth sailing, and you feel like yeah, I can spend that. It's intentional. I've prepared for it. That's what this money is for. And you feel happy and you feel secure and you feel like I am good at this money stuff. You know, you feel confident. You got a little spring in your step. You throw that card down with confidence. So basically, we're just going to open up a separate savings bucket, label it Christmas time, and every single pay period, we're going to dump a little bit of money in there. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it should be realistic. So knowing that we spent $4,000 this year, noting that we bought some big household items that we don't have to buy every year, but also noting that every year there seems to be some sort of big expense like that that's necessary. So the goal is to put that small amount aside every pay period so that it's there, ready, and it doesn't feel like a slap in the face or like a shock to the system when you spend it. It's already dedicated, because we have to remind ourselves it's not about the money that was spent. It's about how it feels. It's about the psychology behind it. So now, like, we're saving for this car, and seriously, we have been saving for it for so long. And like I said, we keep getting knocked back. Like, something keeps coming up that means we have to spend money that was dedicated to the car. And I'm like, now I'm just feeling really resentful and really angry and like frustrated at this. But imagine if we had not put that money towards the car in the first place. It had been sitting in a Christmas fund. I wouldn't be feeling angry and resentful. It would just be like, oh yeah, this is how it's all working out. You know, like, the money's being spent anyway. It's not about the money. It's about how you feel, because it feels way worse to think you're making progress, but then to be knocked back. So if you put money into your savings and you think you have savings, but then you spend it, it feels way worse than if you had just never put it in your savings in the first place. If you had been intentional with the way that you were labeling the money, you don't have this like false sense of security, because then like you stop trusting yourself. Like, you stop believing that your savings are for savings, and you start just going, oh, that's just money to be freely spent. And then you find yourself dipping into it all of the time. So it's really about changing the psychology here. It's more about changing how you think about your behavior rather than changing your behavior itself. So we're not just going to put like $15 aside, because that's what we've done in previous years. Like, we put, I think, 1% of our income aside for Christmas, but come Christmas time, that wasn't really enough money. So I think, let me just do a quick calculation. Gosh, it is a lot. If you break it up by 12, so if you do it every month, it's $330 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. I think maybe we just have to be realistic about it. I think we have to go, we spent $4,000, so we're going to have to put that money aside. And then if we don't spend it next year, like, that's okay. That money can then just go into our savings. Each month we'll put aside $300 and prepare for Christmas now, because we know that it's coming. And I mean, we don't have to put that much aside. Maybe what's more realistic, I have coffee on my pants. Maybe what's more realistic is putting aside like $200 a month. Then that feels a little bit more manageable, I guess. Maybe $300 is too much. Like, maybe we did, because we weren't intentional, because we didn't have any sort of idea of how much we could spend at Christmas. We just sort of went a bit over the top, like a bit overboard. So maybe if we had, you know, $3,000 sitting there, then maybe we would spend within that limit. So maybe we'll just put aside $200 a month. It feels a little bit more palatable, I think. There will be no scrambling at the end of the year. There'll be no guilt. There'll be no guilty spending disguised as like festive spending. There'll be no January regret. There'll be so much more intentionality. So it will just feel so much better. Like, I won't have this lingering anxiety for the month of December because I'm not sure how much we've spent or how much we're supposed to be spending. It'll be really clear, and it will be really, like, I don't know, whenever I have money that I know I'm allowed to spend for this thing, I feel so much better about it. Like, if I'm spending and I'm like, oh, this money isn't really for this holiday, or this money isn't really for dinner tonight, or this money isn't really for Christmas, I get this like really like like this little anxiety in my chest, and it's like I feel like I'm doing something really wrong. But like I've said, there's nothing wrong with spending the money. You just need to be intentional about it so that that icky feeling goes away. So we'll still get Christmas, we'll still get the fun, we'll still get the silly season, we'll still get generosity, we'll still get festive vibes. We just won't have the money hangover, which honestly, a money hangover is like kind of worse than a real hangover because it lasts so much longer. You have to deal with the fallout for so much longer. This isn't really just about Christmas. Like, you can do this with any expense that you can foresee coming. You can plan for those predictable expenses so that you're not treating them like an emergency, like they've just fallen out of the sky when Christmas happens every single year. It allows you to really respect like how long it takes you to earn that money and to save that money. Like, if you think about like, okay, you spent $4,000. You can be like, I guess it's not that bad. I guess it's not that much. But then if you think about how long it takes you to earn and save $4,000, you're like, holy shit, that's a lot of money, you know? I think right now where we're at as like a whole, as a society in this like economic climate, when you think about money in terms of spending, it feels like less. But if you think about money in terms of earning, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of money. Like, you can so easily spend $1,000. Like, it's so easy. I can't even tell you how easy it is to spend $1,000. But to save $1,000, to earn $1,000, it's a lot of time. So I think we're just sort of like at this place in this economic climate where the cost of living is so out of touch with like what we're earning. And so yeah, when you think about the cost of a holiday, you're like, oh yeah, that's not that expensive, like $1,000 or whatever, like it's not that expensive for a holiday. But then you're like, but how long does it take me to save $1,000? Too long to just drop it on a weekend. So it's a funny time that we're living in. So this idea of having a Christmas sinking fund, it's more about, it's respecting that. It's respecting how long it takes you to earn that money. And it designs a system, a money flow that meets you where you're at in life and really supports you to make empowering decisions when it comes to your money. I really feel like wealthy people don't avoid expenses. They don't stick their head in the sand. They just prepare for them, and they prepare for them well. So if Christmas felt really expensive, it felt stressful, it put you out of your comfort zone, it made you uncomfortable, it's not because you're bad with money. It's not because you don't know how to manage your money. It's because we just didn't have a system. We didn't plan properly, and we didn't move forward with intentionality. Systems can very easily be built, can very easily be put into place. Like setting up this money flow to include a Christmas sinking fund, 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to open an account and label it Christmas and figure out how much you need to put into it every single pay period. That is such an easy thing that we can do to make our lives easier in a year, to make our mental load feel less. We already carry such a big mental load at Christmas time. We don't need to add worrying about money as well. So let me know if you will be setting up a Christmas sinking fund. We will be doing it literally this week. Probably not tonight because Henry's very sick and it's been and we have been struggling to manage that. I can't even believe I'm sitting here recording this right now. What a win. But yes, we will be doing that probably in the next pay period when we put our money through the money flow system. Let me know how you felt Christmas was, or if I was just like the only one who failed to prepare. And see you next time for a coffee. Can't wait. Okay, love you. Bye.